Howdy. Today we're doing a video about all the new arcanes that came out with Jade Shadows and the Ascension game mode. I know this is a little bit late for when they came out. I mean, we're about to get the next update, Lotus Eaters, already, but I totally forgot to do this, so here we are. It's not going to be too long a video, but we're just going to be covering what the 4 new arcanes do and, whether or not they're worth getting. So we got 2 for the Warframe. We got 2 for the secondaries, and we got 1 for melees. So we will first start off with the Warframe arcanes. Now we got Arcane Ice Storm and Arcane Battery. Arcane Ice Storm states that on enemy frozen, gain 2% ability strength and 2% ability duration for 15 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. So at max stacks, you get 40% strength and 40% duration. That is a lot from an arcane. But you have to freeze enemies consistently to keep that going. Now, something that is extremely important is that you have to be the one to freeze enemies. So, for example, if I put on Death Cube Prime, or any companion, right, it doesn't matter as long as you know it's attacking stuff. Like, we have Assault mode here. I'll take Duplex Bond off. I'll take, actually, all of this stuff off for the most part. If we put this on and we go Verglass, we have cold, and then it's got, like Shivering Contagion, so it spreads cold everywhere. Then we're going to go and put in Glaxeon Vandal. That also has a build just to spread cold, okay? And I'm Frost, so I can freeze stuff with abilities. Now, we start invincibility on ourselves, unpause the AI. Now look. The enemies are frozen, but I have no stacks. It freezes a whole group and I get 0 stacks for the arcane because it is our companion that is freezing them. Now the reason I bring this up is because I know a lot of people like to run the arcane on their primary weapon, primary Frostbite, which is on cold status effect. You get crit damage and multi-shot, and this does proc from our companion freezing enemies. Right, so like if I come over here and it does it. Look, see, it builds it up. The one for our primary weapon, which is an older arcane. But it does not do the same for Arcane Ice Storm, which is unfortunate to say the least. So let's take this off now. But your weapon and your Warframes both count towards it. So if I simulate these guys again, and I freeze them with, say, my first ability, look at that. I got stacks, right? There's 2 stacks because I froze 2 enemies. Or if I use the Glaxeon Vandal, I start freezing these guys, there it goes, getting plenty of stacks. So as long as you are the one freezing the enemies, not your companion or your teammates or whatever, you can get the stacks up, but it has to be you yourself. Other than that, that's really it. It's a very straightforward arcane. It just gives you strength and duration. Arcane Battery is the next one. You gain 0.3 maximum energy per armor point up to 1000 energy, which means if you have 100 armor, that means you get 30 energy max, right? And if you have 1000 armor, you get 300 energy. So if you want to cap out the amounts of extra energy you get from this, you're going to need like 3333 armor to get an extra 1000 energy. But it can be the replacement for primed flow in your build because it gives so much, and it's not a percentage based, meaning on frames with low base energy like Frost, it will be more valuable. But you have to be able to maximize your armor. Now this constantly is updating all the time in game, so a Frost is also a great Warframe to show this off because of his passive. Cold status effects from Frost abilities have their duration increased, but more importantly, Frost gains 50 armor per enemy inflicted with a cold status within 15 meters. So I get extra armor for every enemy that has cold on them, meaning Arcane Battery gives us extra energy. I have 315 armor right now, so if I exit here, you can see I'm getting 95, or now 155 extra energy from Arcane Battery, right? 155 bonus energy. So let's simulate these enemies. Why am I getting 155? I feel like that's not the right number. It should have been what it was just stating before. 95. And then it goes up to 155. I've got no clue why it's doing that. But regardless, if I freeze enemies and I get my passive going, you can see it updated and now I have more armor. It updates every 2 seconds, I believe. So every 2 seconds, it will check what your armor is and increase your max energy to match. So that means you don't have to have like armor as your base armor within your build. You can have this be a low value and then have like something that, an ability that you cast in mission to then increase it. Other than that, it's also a very straightforward arcane. There's not a whole lot of frames that can make use of it, but Chroma and Valkyrie are 2 frames that can make use of it pretty well, I'd say. Maybe like a Naros or something, or Nidus if you're building heavy armor on them, or Atlas, I guess, but not a lot of frames can make use of it. Still though, a very nice arcane, and what's funny is they both work really well in Frost. Frost is getting all of the buffs. Next, we have the secondary arcanes. The first one is Secondary Fortifier. It states, gain 1 overguard for every 100 damage dealt to an enemy's overguard. You also deal 8 times damage to overguard, or extra damage to overguard. That is multiplicative, so you literally just deal 8 times damage to overguard. So this makes you melt overguard, right, on like Xmas and stuff unbelievably fast. It also means you can build up overguard extremely effectively. You do have to give up extra damage for normal enemies because, well, you know, it only does extra damage to overguard, but it's still a very nice arcane to have. Especially because overguard has overguard gating, similar to shield gating. And this means you can use overguard on any Warframe in the game so long as you're using a weapon that can, you know, a secondary weapon, and you put this on it. It has a cap of 15,000 overguard. If I shoot these guys, you can see it starts building it up. Charge it up so I can actually build faster. I already broke his overguard. We just keep shooting these guys until it maxes out. Like so. There it is. You can see 15,000 overguard is the cap. This is a very, very nice arcane. I did a almost level cap Void Cascade run. We got to like level 6,000-7,000 enemies, I think, with Protea, and I was using Epitaph to prime enemies for Heat Inherit and Viral. And I had this on just because there's arcanes and there's Xmas, and Thrax with overguard everywhere and Void Cascade. I was always getting overguard for an overguard gate. I didn't get down a single time. It was incredible. This is probably one of my favorite arcanes in the game now. It is just so nice and comfy to have. I highly recommend getting it and using it. Next, we have the other arcane we got for secondary weapons here. I'm actually going to switch to, where is it? The Grimoire is a perfect weapon to show this one off. Secondary Surge. On ability cast, next shot gains a damage multiplier for every 200 current energy up to 8 times. So you get extra damage based on how much energy you have. So you have to have both a large energy cap to make the most out of it the fastest, and you also have to have a lot of energy. Hang on, let me back out over here. We want my energy to reset. There we go. So if I switch here and I cast my 4, I only got the times 1.7. But if I'm at max energy, it went all the way up to 5.23. And like it states, the cap is 0.8. Now, this only applies to one singular shot. So if I shoot, it's gone. Literally one shot. Very few weapons will make use of this. Just like very few Warframes make use of Arcane Battery. You want something that does a large chunk of damage within a single shot. It also, I don't think it applies to multi-shot either. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think it does. So not a lot of weapons can make use of it very well at all, but 2 weapons that can make use of it extremely well are the Grimoire and the Azima. So Grimoire has the unique trait, alternate fire releases a voltaic orb that travels slowly then explodes after 6 seconds. Basically, it builds up an alt fire. You can see the bar right there. You fire it and it just floats around shocking stuff. It builds up from picking up ammo. It builds up from hitting enemies, and it also, if you look at it, it slowly passively builds up on its own as well. Now, that shot, if you have the bonus from your secondary surge, it will apply to that thing for the entirety of its duration, and it's just one big ball that it shoots out. So it is quite nice. Let's see, we simulate these enemies. If I shoot it out with the X, you can see it's doing some pretty hefty damage. Look at that. This isn't even that great of a build, and we have we have no armor strip, we have no viral or anything, no damage debuffs on them, and it kind of pulverized them. Whereas if I reset them and I do the same thing without secondary surge on, it's doing significantly less damage, of course. So it mostly can be used on Grimoire and Azima with Azima's alt fire from the turrets. I'm not really going to go too in depth here, but it works the same way, right? Like you get the bonus, and then you fire your turret. Oh wait, I don't have it on. Oh wait, there we go. And it will apply to all of the shots from the turret for the entirety of its duration. I'm going to be doing an Azima video here pretty soon, so, you know, stay tuned for that if you want to see stuff about that. And that's it for that arcane. Now, the final arcane is Melee Afflictions, and this is arguably the strongest of the 5 arcanes that came out with Jade Shadows. Enemies affected by status effects gain 6 additional stacks when they're knocked down or flung by melee attacks. This does not work on like Pseudo Exalted, which is sad. That would be insane on Gara with slash damage, but it's still very strong nonetheless. And Arcatitran's a good weapon to show it, and so is the Harmony, so I'll show it. It has to be an attack that knocks them or flings them. And slam attacks do that. They knock enemies or they fling them. Now, the Arcatitran has a guaranteed electric proc on its slam attacks. Like so. You know, you slam them, does an electric attack. But if you do a heavy slam, you know, it flings them in the air. So if you're using Arcatitran, you can put on Melee Afflictions, and now your heavy slam will apply 7 times the electric procs. And instead of 1 big chunky electric procs, you get 7. So literally 7 times the damage, which is pretty massive. Obviously, it's not going to kill these guys in a doo-doo water build. But if you were to use it with like doo-dee-da, here we go. Yeah, right here. This is a normal just electric slam build. It's not the best thing ever. But if we use this and we reset these enemies without any combo built up and no slam capacitor, I don't think it'll kill, but it'll still do some pretty chonky damage. Oh no, it is going to kill most of them. Look at that. We did not have slam capacitor built up at all yet, and we also did not have any melee combo. I'd say that's pretty damn strong. The other 2 main notable weapons I can think of off the top of my head that benefit from it, or 3 I guess, would be like the Sorrowfang, because it pulls enemies in and lifts them when you do a heavy slam. Oh, went over 6 times combo. The Anku, if you're going for a slam build, because you can get force slash procs. Normally you can't do that on a slam attack, but you can with this by sliding with the Incarnon and then slamming. Or, of course, the Harmony can especially make use of it, because it detonates all the DOTs on an enemy as soon as you kill them. And heavy attacks on any sort of melee weapon fling enemies, so any heavy attack on any melee will proc it. Scythes have force slash procs on their heavy attack. So you go from 1 massive force slash proc to 7 massive force slash procs, and then they're all detonated instantly. So I think I should be able to one-shot one of these guys without building up my combo at all, I think. Not quite. Still a very... Look, oh, I just hit 40 million. What the hell? Still a respectable amount of damage nonetheless, though. 22 million? Oh, I think I'm able to get a headshot. That's why. Now, yes, Reaping Spiral. There's also some stuff in combos that can knock enemies in the air. So, like, the neutral basic on Reaping Spiral can fling enemies. So that can also, you know, work to apply. You can see it did some pretty chonky damage. If they actually have slash box on when you hit them and you knock them to get the extra... Oh, I think that guy had 7. Yeah, 7. So it's very, very strong, but again, kind of niche. That's kind of the case with all of these arcanes. They're all very niche, but very, very strong where they work. And that's going to do it for all 5 of the new arcanes that came out with Jade Shadows. If I missed anything about them, let me know in the comments. If you know anything about it, right, I would have missed. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe. Adios.